Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to show you how to do a test on your intercooler. Basically, we're going to test it to see if it is leaking. I'm going to show you the process of how we do that. There's multiple processes that you can do. I've actually showed you how to do that on this channel already, doing the air side. Basically, you pressurize the air side, and if you hear anything coming out of your flush port, that's an indicator that your intercooler has failed. However, the limiting factor there is that you're only really getting up to around 15 to 20 psi, depending on how much you pressurize to. And on the water side, you can actually get quite a bit higher than that. The water pressure on these SeaDoos will push up to around 80 psi. So if you have a leak that's not leaking until the higher pressures, you're not going to know that unless you do a water side pressure test. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the reason I'm going to be showing you this is because this intercooler has actually failed on my SeaDoo this weekend. We took these down the shore and we were wave jumping for a few hours, and I noticed pretty much right off the bat something was not right. When you would go to wide open throttle, the ski would bog and almost stall. It actually did stall on me a couple times, and it just kind of was sputtering, hesitating, and I knew pretty much right away that the intercooler failed. Not really a big deal. Kind of happens as intercoolers age. I actually have a Riva intercooler in here. It's a secondhand one, so I'm not sure how long it's been really used. I did swap the sacrificial anode when I first put it in. The previous one wasn't too bad. However, you never know when, and that's you know, a risk I'm willing to take. Bought a secondhand intercooler. You don't know what the previous owner was doing with it. You don't know if they were flushing it properly. You don't know if they winterized the ski or not. But either way, I got a solid about a year and a half out of it. So I'll be putting in a fizzle intercooler to replace it. But I want to show you the process of how to do a pressure test on it. So I won't be doing the air side pressure test because I've already covered that a couple times. All you're doing basically is a boost leak test, and if you hear any air coming out of your flush port here, that's an indicator that your intercooler has failed. But for this test, we're going to have to remove the intercooler altogether. So let's go ahead and start that. Here we go. So to remove the intercooler is a very simple process. I have a aftermarket blow-off valve on here, so it's going to be slightly different. If you have, I also have an aftermarket air intake. If you have a stock air intake, stock blow-off valve system, it'll look slightly different, but the process is the same. I'm going to remove the intercooler as a whole with the charge pipes still connected. We'll just take those out once we have the intercooler removed from the ski. So all we need to do here is remove anything that's in the way. We're going to be removing the blow-off valve. I already cut the zip tie. We just have to remove that boost reference vacuum hose. We'll take that off. Next, we need to, I'm also going to remove the intake here to make a little bit of room. So we'll remove the intake, remove this charge pipe. This charge pipe I already took off. That's how I verified. I'll put that video in here if I haven't already. We're also going to have the water return line, the water supply line down there, our vent line right here. I know it's blurry for some reason. And then we just have the two straps that will come right off. So we'll do a time lapse of this. And there's the cavity from where the intercooler is removed. So intercooler is here. Let's go ahead and bring it into the garage, and then I'll show you the process for doing our test. So before we can do the test, we need to remove the charge pipes. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. We just have the throttle body feed side and then the supercharger side. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here is everything we are gonna need for the test of the intercooler here. Now keep in mind, there are two ways to do this test. One is you can fill, this is the water side, by the way, your air side and your water side. The one way, the accurate way, or the best way I should say, is the way that I'm going to do, is to pressurize the water side with air, and we're going to fill the air side with water. We want to do that because we can simulate the water pressure. Now, residential water pressure will range anywhere from 50 to 80 psi. The only way to guarantee you're getting closer to the higher end is to do the air side, because if your residential water supply is only going to around, I keep pointing that way because that's where my hose is, but if your residential water supply is only 50 psi and your intercooler doesn't really leak internally until around 60 psi, then the test is going to make it look like the intercooler is good. Now, it's kind of rare because generally when these things start to leak, they just leak. You can actually still see some water in there. So we are going to fill the air side, or the water side with air. We're going to put water in here. That way, if there's any leak, we're going to see some bubbles. The other way you can do it is to, we're going to block these off, just the one side and the vent, and you're just going to connect the hose to your input here and see if you see any water coming out. Now, the only downside is if it's a slow leak, it may take some time for you to get some water. However, it is still a valid test. Either way, you're going to need the same materials in order to accomplish this. And I'll show you what that is. Here, we just have some standard automotive 3/4 inch hose. You can buy this pretty much anywhere, any auto parts store. They sell by the foot. I just keep plenty of it around because that's the standard size for the SeaDoo cooling system, plus the catch can, all that good stuff. You're also going to need, I'm not even sure what this is, maybe 3/8, and that is going to be for your vent line. In both tests, all we're going to do is connect this. We'll obviously put a hose clamp on there, and we're just going to pinch this closed because we're not trying to vent anything. That's going to obviously make the results of the test not valid. Then we have a 3/4 inch barb to hose fitting. We're going to use 2 of these. We also have a hose block off cap, and I also have a standard fitting for an air compressor. This is a irrigation blowout system, so if you have sprinklers, you probably know what this is. Either way, I'm going to stage this here. I'll show you how we are going to get this test set up. All right, so on one side, we're going to have basically this hose. We're going to have to cut this to size, but we'll go through here. That'll be clamped on. We'll also have a clamp on here, and then we're also going to have another section here with this other side. So basically, when all is said and done, we should have 2 of these guys looking like that. One of these is going to be capped with our hose cap, like so. The other is going to get our irrigation pump out or blowout, whatever you want to call it, like that. And that's going to go, I'm not sure if you guys can even see that. That's going to go right there. And then of course, we're also going to have our short hose on here. I'll find the exact dimension for you guys, by the way. That's going to go here, and we're just going to close that off. And then we just have to put water in our supply, and then we'll pump this up. Now keep in mind, these are only plastic fittings, and I'm pretty sure this hose, this is just radiator hose. So this can only handle, actually says it right on here, 63 psi. So I've always gone slightly above that. It's not really, never a concern. It's like a 1 or 2 ply hose. However, we'll go up to, we'll just try 50 psi and see if it leaks. I have had this up to 85 psi and no problem. If you guys are doing this yourself, you may want to get a higher pressure hose. They come in 140 psi, 200 psi, and then you can even get standard air hose, like commercial air hose for construction sites, and that can go up to around 500 psi or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and make these fittings. We'll get these attached, and then I'll show you what that looks like. We'll move on from there. All right, so here is our test setup. You can see that the one outgoing or water supply line we just have blocked off. The other one we have our standard air connection fitting to. And then I just have one of these squeeze guys set, and I crossed over our vent line. So that's all we really need. It doesn't have to be completely 100% airtight. Again, we're just basically just testing to see if we have any air that escapes through the heat exchanger core. So next thing we need to do is take this outside and fill it with the hose. We just want to get it so the water is above our core. So I generally get it so that the water comes up to around here. Let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on to pressurizing and see what happens. Okay, all right, we're all set up there. So what I'm going to do is start filling it slowly. I'll just put around 5 psi or so, and we're just going to look for bubbles in this side or the other side. All right, so we are at 60 psi right now, or just under, and you can see there are no leaks, there's no bubbles or anything. Let me grab a flashlight. You can see inside there are no bubbles forming at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to bail all of this water, and we're actually going to do the reverse test. Instead of pumping air through, we're going to use water, and we're going to see if we build up any water inside here. So let's go ahead and do that now. For this test, we're not going to need the air side, so we can just go ahead and remove this fitting here. And now we just can connect our garden hose, because this is a standard garden hose fitting. All right, so here we're just going to use a standard hose connector, and we're going to connect this side with our hose. Let me go ahead and put that on real quick, and just to verify, you can see that, well, I don't know if you can or not, it is completely dry in there and completely dry in there. So let me get these guys on here. We'll turn the hose on, and sometimes you have to wait. Generally, you want to turn the hose on and wait around 5 minutes or so just to see when things come through, if anything. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we are threaded on there, and now we can go ahead and turn this on. Now, one thing I recommend doing is letting this guy go, because there's going to be a lot of air in there. You want to get that air out so that you completely fill the core with water. So let's just go ahead and turn this on. You can see that it's starting to fill up, or you can hear it at least. Nothing is happening yet though, so let's go ahead and we'll crack this guy open. That way we can ventilate, let the air out, and then that will let the core completely fill up with water. Still some air in there. You can hear the air popping. All right, that's good. So let's go ahead and shut this guy off. Now we'll just close this guy and reclamp it. And for this, I'm just using these automotive hose clamps, basically to keep coolant and stuff in. Squeeze it, locks in place. Now we'll go ahead and turn the hose on, let this fill, and basically just sit it for 5 minutes or so, see what happens. All right, so it's been maybe 15 minutes. I was working on some other things. Let's see how we're doing here. And yeah, you can see there's definitely some water in there. So this intercooler is shot. It's not a major leak because I don't know what my residential water pressure is here. I think it's around 60 psi or so. And it's been going like this for 15 minutes, and that's all we got. So it's enough to give you some problems, but not critical. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And let's go back to the ski. I'll kind of explain what can happen and some other symptoms, or basically what things you need to know. All right, so like I said at the beginning of the video, you can kind of tell when an intercooler is going bad when you start to get some hesitation on launch, or if it's bad enough, sometimes it'll even hesitate at idle. Maybe when you accelerate hard, it'll even kind of stall on you. That's all telltale signs that your engine is taking on water. And if it goes on for an extended amount of time, you'll also notice that your oil will have water in it. If you catch it after like the first ride or so, it's not really a big deal. You're probably not going to have anything in there. It'll burn most of it off. But those are the telltale signs. Generally, when you are having some hesitation and such, it's going to feel like something is majorly wrong, but generally it's just some water in the intercooler. The last thing I want to touch on is the difference between a leaking intercooler and condensation. All intercoolers, especially these air water intercoolers, will produce condensation, especially when you're going from a rapid temperature decrease, going from hot air coming out of the supercharger to a cool surface where you're pumping water through the intercooler. Of course, you're going to generate some condensation, and that's normal. The skis can handle it. That is very different. If you were to take off your hose that goes to your throttle body here while you're in the water or on the hose, and you squeeze the throttle aggressively, you'll see a little bit of water. It's brief, it's not consistent. You're basically getting that condensation out, and that's it. A leaking intercooler is going to look almost like what you saw in the video, and consider that is a mild leak. That wasn't aggressive at all. So keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and put in a new intercooler here. The other reason this test is important is you can't just base water coming out of the hose as a bad intercooler. And the reason I say that is because, especially if you have a rear air intake, if there is water coming in from somewhere else and your air filter is taking it in, well, obviously that air filter is going to pump the water into your intercooler, and it's going to look like your intercooler is leaking, even though it is not. So if you see water coming out, it's important to do a bench test on your intercooler just to make sure that's actually what the problem is and there's nothing else that's going on here. That's all for this video. I wanted to cover that because that gets asked a lot. Pretty quick one. If you guys have any questions, please, of course, let me know.